Hello everyone, I think you can hear me right now. My name is Lev. Please tell me in chat, can you hear me? Okay, we have prepared a short presentation for you to tell you about some recent updates we have released and some updates we are going to release in the next months, during the next months. All those updates are connected with interfaces. So we're working really hard to bring you new interfaces, to bring your customers and users of your customers better look UI, new colors, new buttons, new icons. So the idea is to make our application very comfortable to use and to remove that outdated look we have with the classic application of TrueConf for Windows, which we have right now in application version 6. If some of you are familiar with application version 7, so what we're going to show you today is a new development of application of version 7. Wonderful. During the summer, we have released the new version of application for Windows. It is called TrueConf 7.2 for Windows. It is available on our website. If you go to download section, you have to choose the beta version. We call it beta, but it's pretty stable, so you can be very sure to use it. And let me tell you the most important updates in that release. If you have any questions, feel free to use chat.
This is Saurabh. Can you hear me, Lev?
Hello, Saurabh. Yes, I can.
Yeah. So I today met a large customer in Mumbai, and I've got really nice comments on our 7.2 application, and I was told that it's at least 5 times better than the sixth version. So I think congratulations to all of us.
Thank you, Saurabh. Indeed, it is a very good release. And the most interesting thing is that it will be the intermediate release. So intermediate means that the next release, which will be named 7.3, will have much more new things, a lot of new things. So it will be very similar in architecture, in use of panels. We have introduced side panel. You can see on the screenshot to the left from my video. This panel have different states. So the next version will develop these new panel features, and it will be a little bit closer to experience from services like Slack, like Microsoft Teams, like HipChat. So it will introduce better chat support, and it will be released in the beginning of the next year. But this version is much better than the previous one, as Saurabh have mentioned. Yeah, indeed. First of all, new layouts. Some of you might use the previous generation of TrueConf server, which comes along with a client application version 6.53 or 6.56 or earlier, which don't have new layouts, which we call overlay layout. If you resize your window, it will adjust a little bit. Sometimes the smaller windows will overlay the main window. Also, if you have the screen large enough to with a lot of real estate on the screen, everybody will not be overlapped a little bit. Everybody will be displayed. But the main idea for this new mode is to make content visible. Previously, we had only the layout where main window was located in the corner, and all other video windows was located around the corner. So it is not a default option anymore. You can choose the old version of layout in settings, but the new default layout is this new one, overlay layout, when the content is big. Of course, you can drag and drop video windows from the main window outside without any problems. Another good thing about this new release is it is built upon cross-platform technology called Qt. That means we are going to release updates for macOS users and Linux users very soon in November. They will have the new redesigned application as well, because actually it is the same application. The only difference is the title bar and the position of window close button. So everything else inside is almost the same. The next thing is that we also added support for displaying of avatars or photos. Users can upload avatars using client applications. It is not possible so far to assign avatar from TrueConf server admin panel, but it is possible to do that from client application. So it brings some personality to your contact lists. It makes it a little bit easier to find contacts in the address book. Of course, this new version has support for telephony. You can dial out any numbers if this application connected to the server which have SIP integration enabled. SIP integration is an extra feature. It is sold separately, but can be activated for a short trial up to 1 month without any problems using live chat on our website. So if server has SIP integration enabled with a PBX or some cloud-based telephony provider, all your users will see in the address book the dial pad. Once you click on the dial pad, you will be able to call any numbers using the SIP trunk you have. And of course, it is possible to see the address book in the old way. So it is possible to collapse address book to a compact mode without avatars. So you can decide which way it is better for you. Another good feature is a special panel called participants. In a conference tab, if you run a conference, you can see the participants tab where the list of participants is presented. And on the bottom of that panel, you can see reactions. Reactions is something very easy to use, but quite useful. You can ask a question from your audience, and then they will be able to reply to you by simply pressing a button yes, no, or impressing some other emotions, and the system will show you immediately the proportion between the answer, how many participants answered yes, how many answered no, for example. The answers are also visible in participants list as additional icons next to their status. So it is quite useful for large conferences like this one when we run special video conferencing mode called virtual meeting, where I as a owner of the conference or as a moderator assigned to this conference can select different participants to be visible. So currently, there are only one participant visible, it's me. Later during this presentation, I will add another participant. If you have any questions and you would like to take the podium and ask questions in a way that you will be visible to everyone else, feel free and I will add you to the podium as well during this virtual meeting. Okay, but the most important thing of this new release is the built-in native support for 4K video conferencing. That means that if you have the PC which meets our system requirements, and your party, the person you are calling, is also have the PC which meets our requirements, they will see the video call in 4K or 2160p quality in 30 frames per second, which is pretty impressive. I have pre-recorded the video demo of this mode before this webinar, and let me show you the example. So I will return to the slide a little bit later. Let's proceed to the demonstration. So I replace my camera with a screen. Now you can see my screen. I go to the browser and click on this link. So this is our demo setup of 4K point-to-point video call. As you can see here, we have two cameras, and the one camera is Logitech Brio. It is very affordable, $200 USB 3.0 web camera, which have very nice point of view angle and very nice 4K sensor. And another camera to the right is the Bowling 4K PTZ camera, which also produce a very nice 4K picture. They are connected to small PCs, which are called NUC and UC. They are produced by a company called Intel. I'm sure you know who they are. And they use the 6th generation Intel CPUs. So everything else is standard. I have 4K monitor on the left and 4K screen on the right. So the light conditions in this room was not really good. So to highlight the sensor of the camera, I have used that Lenovo tablet to demonstrate the quality of this call. Okay, so this is a Brio Logitech camera. I will stop a little bit. It has USB Type-C interface and is connected to Intel NUC PC. This is an Intel NUC PC. Just a moment. 1 second. Okay, so I'm sorry for this interrupt, for this pause. So this PC cost approximately $500, so it's not very expensive. The camera cost is $200. The most affordable 4K screen will cost approximately from 500 to 1000 USD. So that makes that we can make a 4K endpoint. We can make the 4K endpoint in under 1500 USD for one side. Of course, we need at least for two sides. It will have a pretty large, to see this quality, you will need a pretty large screen. So our recommendation is to use this mode on video walls. Our software supports video walls. Now we can see the example. Yeah, I will stop the video. So you can see that we, on this example, send and receive 4K picture, 21 by 60p is actually 4K, encoded by H.264 video codec, and the bit rate is 4 times more we require for 1080p. Well, that means 10 megabits is required for 4K video call. That's a lot. Sometimes this bit rate could drop to 8 megabits, but 8 megabits is the threshold value. If your bandwidth is less than 8 megabits, the software will not allow you to scale up to 4K. So once you establish the call, the resolution start to scale step by step from 360p to 480p, from 480p to 720p, then to 1080p, then to 3K, and finally it achieves 4K resolution. This video for demonstration, this is a video wall, 4K video wall we also used for demonstration. You can see our website on the background. So let me skip a little bit. So right now we're on a call, and the video don't have very nice quality because it was compressed on YouTube. For example, this small picture, it was cropped from the corner of the camera picture, which is produce very nice resolution. I can see pixels on my screen. You see that if we zoom, we can read text. If I show my phone to the 4K camera on other side during this 4K video call, I can see pixels on the screen of the phone, which is also pretty impressive. So it is very hard to, it's really hard to tell you how impressive it is. You have to try it. But really, I believe right now many of you think that 4K is just, marketing term. But I believe in 2 years, you will remember this webinar and will tell everybody that you have seen the 4K video call first time from TrueConf. And we are really proud of this. Okay, that's enough for this video. I have a screenshot from that demonstration. It doesn't move. It was a real screenshot of this call. It will be easier here to see the quality. So this is the 100% scale. Just a moment. Yeah, this is 100% scale. You can see that every pixel on the screen of the tablet is delivered over the video call in a very nice quality. We see a lot of details. Again, the light condition in this room is not really good. We can see on the screenshot that the bit rate is approximately 8 megabits per second. Frame rate changes depending on the amount of movement we have behind the camera. So this is a feature of our protocol. So we adjust compression ratio, we adjust frame rate per second, we adjust resolution depending on the bandwidth we have. So it is also available, this feature is also available during 4K calls. Because we utilize some Intel latest, let's call them SDK. So Intel have in the latest generation, not latest, in 6th and 7th generation of their CPUs, a new generation of built-in graphic processor. They call it HD graphics, or they also call it Iris. So Intel HD graphics or Iris GPU built into CPU is very nice for 4K encoding and decoding. So you can see from this screenshot that the actually CPU is not really loaded. The load on CPU is usual to a video conference session because everything happens on that built-in GPU. So we utilize Intel technology to encode 4K video without affecting your productivity, without have a request for the podium. Just a moment. Hello, Saurabh. If you don't have anything to say, I will remove you from the podium and you can ask a question using chat. Okay? Okay, I'm removing you from the podium. So, as I said, we use GPU instead of CPU for 4K that don't affect your productivity of your PC. Okay, let's return to the presentation. That's me again. I'm going back to the slides. So about the requirements, as I said, you will need the 4K screen. It is not a problem. It is almost impossible to buy a new screen which don't support 4K resolution if the screen is large enough. Let's say more than 55 inches. All new 55 inches and larger screens already support 4K. But the problem is the bottleneck for 4K video calls is the camera. So in February this year, Logitech have released the Brio camera, and we believe this release will start the age of 4K video calls on the video conferencing market because it is very affordable and produce very nice picture. As for encoding technologies, the proper term will be hardware encoding because we do not use the CPU for encoding. We use dedicated GPU for encoding. So we call this hardware encoding. And for hardware encoding, we support two technologies. The one I have mentioned already is Intel QuickSync. The 6th and 7th generation of Intel CPUs is enough for 4K video calls. If you have a CPU which is older, our recommendation is to install or add to your setup NVIDIA GPU. So basically 9th and 10th generation of Intel GPUs, GTX 960 or GTX 1050, is enough for 4K encoding and decoding. So the NVIDIA GTX 1050 is very affordable. It is approximately 120 USD dollars. And you can install it on any old CPU to bring support for 4K video calls. The technology behind NVIDIA's GPU is called NVENC, NVIDIA encoding. It stands for NVIDIA encoding. So you have the screen, you have the camera, you have the proper setup of CPU or GPU, and the last piece is our software. So it is available for free. You can achieve 4K video calls by connecting this client application 7.2 for Windows to TrueConf server deployment, or by connecting it to our TrueConf Online cloud. It doesn't matter. The only requirement is bandwidth. So, for example, if you connect two client applications to the cloud, but you are located in the same network, in the same office, let's say, then video call and media streams will go directly, and you wouldn't have any bandwidth issues, and you can test this in your local network without installing the server. Okay, so that's enough for 4K. For the next part, I will invite my colleague, Alina. Just a moment.
Hi everyone, my name is Alina, and I'm gonna guide you through our
Hi,
main
Alina.
upcoming releases.
Yeah, I will step from the podium to make bigger picture of Alina, and she will invite me back. Okay, please go on.
Yeah, right. Thank you. So this October, we release a new WebRTC client along with TrueConf server new version. Web conferences are important for each enterprise as they provide an opportunity to communicate not only within organization but also externally with partners or webinars like ours today. Most of you have joined this webinar using your browser, and very soon our WebRTC design will completely change. So first of all, on the slides you can see our new revolutionary design. Here is how the conference will like. On the right you can see participants list, common chat, and additionally we've also enabled moderators right in the conferences. So moderators can remove participant from the conference, manage their device. Secondly, previously when you demonstrated your content and video simultaneously, content is displayed in 50-50 proportion, like now. You don't see full picture of me or Lev, but mixed. So now we've enabled overlay layout for mixed video and content, and they are demonstrated in one window, and it is much easier to perceive. You can see both video and content at the same time. And another great update is that when the participants join the conference, they are suggested to select their equipment and test their devices beforehand. So this will greatly increase usability, as there are always a lot of problems in WebRTC conferences which are not connected to the quality of connections. But with the things like I can't hear you, where is my microphone, I have wrong camera on. So with our new update, this problem will be solved, as you can come into the conference beforehand, check your devices, then be sure to connect to everybody with right web camera and microphone. If you have any questions, feel free to ask.
Just one comment.
Mhm.
So this is something not released yet. So new WebRTC interface will be released in TrueConf server version 4.3.9. Yeah, it's a very difficult name for the version, but it will bring a lot of new features. I think we should name it 4.4 at least. So many new features, nice features it will have. But anyway, so it will be released in October, in 1 month. And so once you update your installation of TrueConf server to the new version, your WebRTC experience will be as displayed on slides from Alina. Absolutely the same. We have beta right now. If you'd like to try the beta, just contact our via live chat on our website, and we will provide you with a link for the beta of this server, new version. Okay, please go on.
And another upcoming release, which we are looking for a lot, is our Android TV application. It's also due to be released this fall, maybe October, November. So our Android TV app has the same functions as our regular client applications. On the next slide, you can see that there are HD group video conferences, address book display, instant messaging, etc. So all the functionality of a client application which Lev told you about previously. You can install your app on any Android TV device or Android TV compatible device. So it will be enough to connect TV via HDMI and a webcam via USB. You can manage the application with your remote control or a joystick, just buttons left, right, top, down. So we think this is a great device for home use or maybe for huddle rooms, for these small rooms for enterprises. Our Android TV application could be a great substitute for currently modern smart boards because it is a lot more affordable. It has great quality. It looks great, just like on the slides. And there will no expensive monthly subscriptions and necessary functions which you will never use, just video conferencing. Yeah, we are waiting for it already in October, so stay tuned. Lev, do you have anything to add?
Yeah, Alina, thank you for this introduction for the upcoming releases. So all those releases are connected by the idea that we bring new interface, new design, new style to our applications for end users, for application which your users are using to make them happy. So this is very important to get rid of this outdated feel and UI we had before. And we're trying to achieve this goal in multiple directions for Windows, for macOS, for Linux, for WebRTC, for mobile devices as well, and the new application for Android TV as well. So by end of this year, 99% of applications will have the new UI, and it will be a very good start for the next year for all of us. Okay, so as for Android TV, I have something to add as well. So you might wonder, what is Android TV? You have heard about Apple TV, but Android TV, okay, let me make my video a little bit bigger. Alina, I will remove
Yeah.
you from the participant list. Thank you again.
Bye bye.
It was a pleasure to see you. Bye. And we'll capture my screen. Nah, you can see my screen again. So I go to the browser. So Android TV is basically NVIDIA's Shield device. And we work closely with NVIDIA, and they provided us with their samples and access for SDK. It looks like this. It was designed for gaming, but actually it has full access to Google Play Store, and you can install any Android application on this set. It has remote control and joystick. There are some other Android TV devices on the market, but this one is the newest and the most popular one. It is not really expensive. It has a lot of power inside. The funny thing is that NVIDIA Shield is capable of 4K video conferencing. Nobody expected it, but because it is based on NVIDIA technology, and again, we have access to NVENC encoder, hardware encoder. Inside this device, we can bring 4K experience to Android TV deployments. This is very impressive. And another thing is, okay, I will stop my screen, return back to you, is that it is possible to deliver the content over Android TV. However, it is required to connect a capture card over USB to Android TV device to capture HDMI or VGA source and deliver it into the conference. Our application will allow to change video streams from camera to content or capture card in real time. So Android TV is again available as beta. If you are a member of Google Play beta testers team of TrueConf, we have a special community for beta testers at Google Play. They already can get the new Android TV application. It's actually nothing special has to be done. You just enter TrueConf in Google Play and you will get it if you have the proper Android TV ready device. Okay, so the next slide, the last one. So we have showcased you some examples of how we're going to change the interface of TrueConf solution this year. And the most importantly, the Windows application was already updated, and we continue to work very hard to make even more changes by end of this year. Um, Besides the things I have mentioned, the new release of TrueConf Server 439, let me send you the message in the chat, 439 it will be called, will have something very important, something we showcased during expos, during different shows around the globe this year. So this new version in October finally will bring support for Skype for Business connectivity. That means that every TrueConf user will be able to call any Skype for Business user. And what is more important, any Skype for Business user will be able to reach any TrueConf conference, any TrueConf user, or any legacy device, free-to-free or SIP device, let's say Polycom or Cisco equipment, registered on TrueConf server. So you, with the free version of our server, with a small trial for Skype for Business connectivity, you will be able to reach legacy equipment from your Skype for Business deployments, which is also something most of you probably will not need, but some larger enterprises, larger companies, they require Skype for Business connectivity, and we will finally bring it in the next release in October. There will be many other changes, a lot of changes for the new version. We will hold another webinar on this release in November, in the beginning of November. We will send invitations again, and we'll tell about 439, just about 439. That's it. If you have any questions, feel free to get on the podium or send questions in chat. No questions so far.
Yeah, Lev, I have one. I have a question.
Mhm.
So can you please take me on podium?
Yes, sure. Let me find you. So up here. Yeah, I have sent you the request.
Got it. Thanks.
I can hear you.
Okay, so I was with a customer today in Mumbai, and they are one of the largest IT companies here in India. They are already okay for a large deployment of TrueConf on premise. And the best news is that we are replacing Link there. So they have been using Link for the last 5 years, not just in India but across their global offices. But finally, hopefully we are replacing Link and establishing TrueConf. Now, one of the things which is critical in this is the integration with Link. But at the same time, another requirement which might be relevant to the release is that can we also dial directly from the Outlook if this integration goes through? So, because these users are used to using Outlook as their email, and when they see the name of the guy, currently they are able to see the calling icon. So, will this be possible either in this release or maybe in the next sub releases post this 4.3.9?
Mhm. Yeah, I got the question. So thank you for the question, Saurabh. The idea, yeah, it will be possible, but not in this release, but not in the another one. So it will be in the middle. So, okay, so Outlook integration requires something called OAuth, something which will allow to third-party applications to authenticate on TrueConf server by credentials of your user. So for example, every Outlook installation, every Outlook client will need to connect somehow to TrueConf server to create conferences and to schedule the conferences using this plugin. And support for this OAuth technology will be built in into 4.3.9 version, and it will make possible for anyone to create third-party applications which will use our API to create conferences, control conferences, manage user accounts, whatever permissions you will provide from server side. It is possible to set different scope of permissions for every application. So we will develop the plugin based on this OAuth technology later this year after the release of
Great.
4.3.9. So Outlook users will have such functionality, of course.
That's
So
good news.
we are aware of this. Okay,
Thanks, Lev.
thank you
Thanks.
for question. I will remove you from the podium.
Yeah.
Thank you. Any other questions? Mhm. Okay, so
One more question. In the new version
okay,
7.2, do we do we have offline chat also?
could you please repeat the last part of your sentence? Which kind of chat?
Do we still have we retained the offline chat also in the 7.2 application?
Yeah, of course. Offline messaging is available across all applications. So you can select any participant who is offline and send him a message. It will be delivered once it will become available on any device. Even more, in the version 7.3, we will introduce something called group chat. But right now, group chat is only available during the conference, like the one we have right now here. But in 7.3, and again, the TrueConf Server 439 will bring support for this feature as an infrastructure. It will it will have the new version of our protocol, which will support group chats, offline group chats. So I mean that in 7.3 version of client application, it will be possible to select participants and start a group chat without starting a video call. So it will bring something like Slack experience, like other solutions, as I mentioned in the beginning of this webinar. So we're working on this as well.
Yeah, Lev, one last question.
Mhm.
Many users, especially the enterprise users who are moving from Link to TrueConf, they are saying that the concept of sign out is not uh, comfortable with them. So what they are saying is that instead of
Saurabh, you have released the audio reply button, so I didn't hear the last
oh
part of the
sorry
question.
sorry
Yeah,
now is it audible now?
yeah, it is.
Yeah. So many people in the enterprise segment have come back to us saying that if we retain the login on multi-device and also synchronize the chat on multi-devices, that will solve a lot of problem for them. So I
Mhm.
told them that look, we have to deliver video, so that is the reason why we sign out from one device and we log in into the newer sign-in device. So what came out of that is that maybe we can uh, do the video thing from a single location, but at least the chat can be synchronized across devices, and we should not auto log out. So humble suggestion.
Yeah, this is an issue. This is an issue not in the client application. This is an issue in our signaling protocol. We, according to our roadmap, so according to our roadmap, this feature, it is called multi-login. The multi-login will be available only in the next year. So it is not something we're going to release soon. Maybe in the beginning of 2018. Because it requires to deeply rewrite something internal, something we didn't think will be required 10 years ago when we decided to start to create our own protocol. So it will be fixed. Uh, it will be fixed, but in the next year.
Thanks.
Okay, so the recording of this webinar will be available tomorrow. If you have any questions, feel free to reply to the email we will send to you with the recording, and we will provide you extensive explanation or answer to your questions. Again, I'd like to say thank you for all participants. Thank you for joining us today. We will hold the next webinar in November. Please stay tuned. Another big thank you to Saurabh for good questions and for Alina for the presentation. Thank you, everyone, and have a nice day. Goodbye. Bye-bye.
Thank you, Lev.
Thank you, guys.